Flow Road to Home is life made simple. One affordable plan that gives you internet at home and mobile on the go. Constant connection anywhere and everywhere, wherever your plans may take you. Switch today and get double the data on your mobile with 60 gigs plus unlimited WhatsApp and YouTube and 400 megabits per second internet speed. Flow Road to Home internet and mobile plan. Your non-stop connection. Visit a Flow store or discoverflow.co for more info. Conditions apply.
Enjoy the convenience of getting all your documents in one place. At the TDC Copy and Print Center on 4th Street in Basse-Terre, we do just that. We offer document formatting, graphic design, and copy and print services. Our team of professionals truly understand all your needs, whether it be administrative, professional, academic, or personal. You bring it, we deliver it with quality every time. Visit the TDC Copy and Print Center today in the TDC Mall on 4th Street in Basse-Terre or call 465-2511. Your copy and print specialists are waiting to serve you.
It's 4 minutes after 11 o'clock, and it's time for Voices, and this is Jamsta. I'm going to be sitting in for Socrates today, Monday, and also on Wednesday. And as always, I try to table issues, news, and other happenings that can generate discussion, and also for the sake of education, edification, information, and so on. And one of the things that's been in the news big time this week, last week and also this week, because while listening the Win FM newscast this morning, I noticed that a big chunk of the news was actually about, the cost of living. Things like the government, they recently announced, pushed by the government to raise the minimum wage rate and so on. Also, Dwight Astafan's commentary from last week, which addressed things like the rising cost of living, inflation, and so on. So I'm gonna, without any further ado, I'm gonna play you Dwyer's latest commentary, and I'm hoping that this will provide a great basis for a lively discussion this morning. And of course, you can call about any other topic that you might find interesting. I know sometimes you guys can be weird. Sometimes I'll table a topic and then you guys call and talk about something completely different and totally ignore a topic which maybe I might have thought was interesting. I might have thought would have generated discussion, but then sometimes you guys just go off in your own tangents, but yeah, the tangents are welcome. But I thought it was timely to bring you Dwight Astafan's commentary, and let's take it from there. And I'm gonna be trying to introduce some more audio clips where possible, things I think that people need to hear, think about, discuss, comment on, ask questions, and so on. So let's get started with Dwight Astafan's commentary from last week. Okay, so okay, it looks like I'm having some issues here. I don't understand. It was just playing. I think my phone just crashed, but okay. So in the meantime, I'm gonna try and get this sorted out. But just to say that any topic that might be on your mind, I'll give you the numbers. Sometimes people say we don't give the numbers. So 466-0989, 662-0989. And you also have 762-0989. And if you're living outside of St. Kitts Nevis, you have these numbers can be used from anywhere. 718-285-6984. That's a U.S. exchange number. Another one, the 305, that's the Miami exchange, but you can use that from anywhere. 305-921-4619. And if you live in the UK, it's 033-344-0065. So as I was saying, one of the big topics in the news recently has been the steep rise in the cost of living and so on. I mean, I take for example, I'll give you guys an example. I'm just waiting for my phone to reboot. Now I usually buy, we usually buy milk by the case, right? And I've seen the milk prices. I buy the milk in the carton. It's, well, what's that size? I think it might be, that's not a half gallon, it might be less. But they usually sell those in the supermarket. They range from $5.95. Well, they range. They grow oatmeal. They grow wheat. They're also one of the biggest suppliers of wheat. So we had Russia announcing last week that they were going to stop. They were not going to be allowing the Ukrainians to export wheat anymore. So this is why I always try to tell. I try to explain to my daughter. She's 13 years old, so she's old enough to understand some of these concepts. And even adults who don't seem to get the linkages, who don't seem to get the linkages in life. They people seem to, a lot of times they seem to process things in a vacuum. They don't realize that everything is related to everything else. Like take for example the way people take for example, I go jogging through the Needs Must area, the Needs Must National Park area, and I go through there. I mean, and you guys know this is where we get a lot of our drinking water. And you see things like old TV monitors, old fridges, gross-looking mattresses, construction waste, computer monitors, computer towers, stoves, dead animals, old furniture. And it's amazing to me that people are still not getting. Now, the water people like to say, well, a lot of that stuff, when the rain comes and the stuff runs down into the aquifer, it gets filtered and all that. But we don't know. I mean, do we really know how safe our water supply is when you have people going and dumping stuff indiscriminately anywhere without thinking about how everything affects everything else? This is one the areas in which we really need to wake up about how everything affects everything else, and we can't just do stuff and think everything happens in isolation. Everything affects everything else. So just to make an appeal to for persons to think about things like this. It's actually obscenely cheap to, if you have an old mattress, it's obscenely cheap. Old mattress, old anything, it's obscenely cheap to just hire a truck or even put it in the back of your car and take it to the landfill and get it dumped, rather than going and dumping it in a gut or dumping it in areas where they're pumping water for our consumption, our daily consumption. Just thought I'd let you guys ruminate on that for a little while. But let's get back to the let's get back to the issue at hand. One of the big issues at hand, the cost of living and so on. And I want to hear from WINNMedia. And it seems as though I'm still having some issues here. So let's go and take my first phone call. Caller, go right ahead.
Hi, Jamsta. Good morning.
Hey.
On to the consumer.
I'm waiting to get that tip because I want to make a contribution, but it really pertains to the cost of living and investment and economics in general. But what caught my attention just now when you spoke about that particular area, even though it's not restricted to that area alone, the aquifer area. But my observation is that particular area is not really residential, so to speak. So the culprits mainly is those who you pay to dispose of garbage.
Absolutely.
To the landfill,
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't foresee no individual calling a mattress or old fridge in that area. So those who were hired to dispose your garbage, it ends up there as opposed to going to the landfill.
I see what you're saying, but that's kind of like a distinction without a difference, because I feel like if you hire someone, you should make them bring back a receipt.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where we push the envelope too, because normally that person has a civic responsibility to dispose the garbage properly, even though they would be getting a receipt. But the receipt should be secondary within the civic mind of that individual.
No,
but dispose the garbage properly.
No, I'm totally
considering there's a lot of hazard that come with those materials. You're talking about computer waste and all, fridges and the type of
heavy metals and stuff. Yes, that these things
and
are made with.
Why should we chance it for the earth to filter it? For when it gets to the water aquifer, it is pure, as opposed to letting it stay pure without that filtration of all that heavy metal and all of that. You know what I mean?
And
that
also
toxic waste from.
Yes, and also making examples of people, like serious examples of people.
Yes, but it happened otherwise, where closer to residential homes, you will find, the whole farmer cane field, you will find that. So I await your commentary from Mr. Hassan.
Yes, that's coming right after the commercial break now. Yeah, I think I got things sorted out now. Okay, great. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to hear from WINNMedia and his commentary. And then hopefully that will generate a lot of discussion. And I'll also be expecting you guys to weigh in on what you think the minimum wage. That was a question we threw out last week. No one bit. Surprisingly, y'all are really strange sometimes. You guys complain about stuff, you throw out the questions, nobody calls. When it's salacious stuff, oh man, you guys break the phone down.
Buster! We run things don't run we. Buster! Living color, do it differently. Buster! Large and in charge, like for the party. Buster! We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
7 flavors, best taste. Buster, bolder, better, better. Pick your color.
We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
Buster, live in full color.
Buster!
Flow Road to Home is life made simple. One affordable plan that gives you internet at home and mobile on the go. Constant connection anywhere and everywhere, wherever your plans may take you. Switch today and get double the data on your mobile with 60 gigs plus unlimited WhatsApp and YouTube and 400 megabits per second internet speed. Flow Road to Home internet and mobile plan. Your non-stop connection. Visit a Flow store or discoverflow.co for more info. Conditions apply.
It's TDC for me, TDC for we. Neighbor, partner, your family. The best is yet to come, believe me. Moving forward, moving with. Hey, TDC serve the nation with the best customer experience. TDC, you are the one for we. Happy anniversary.
Together we succeed, building on strong community. Pressing
And we are back on Voices. It's 11:20, and as promised, I've got Dwight Asavan's commentary from last Wednesday. You know, he has his weekly commentary, and we often don't get to it because sometimes it, it's a little on the long side, and a lot of times we tend not to get to it on Island T because of, the shortness of time. But here we go.
Greetings. Last week there was a meeting between government and food suppliers. Following that meeting, a release was issued, and it stated, among other things, that the high cost of food is caused by external forces. Well, I have no doubt that external factors play a big role. We import lots of food, too much, if you ask me. Hundreds of millions of dollars a year worth of food. And costs of production overseas, plus freight from there to here, have also gone up since COVID and have remained fairly high. And obviously, suppliers will carry the costs on to the consumers. But is it possible that suppliers may also be contributing to these high prices based on the margins that they have been maintaining as a percentage of the cost of the good in their door? But let's start with price control. Certain food prices are controlled under the law, but it is widely believed that food suppliers may have been ignoring this in large measure over the last 20 or so years. Yet nobody has been prosecuted. The tin of sardines thief goes to jail or pays a big fine, while the sellers of expired goods and those who break price control law just keep rolling on, untouched, maybe untouchable. Maybe the long arm of the law is not long enough to reach them. Injustice to consumers is injustice to you. But here's another local factor that could be causing prices to stay up. Let us say you put 30% profit, you are a supplier, and you put 30% profit on your good. So it costs you $1 and you sell it for $1.30. But during COVID and since, supply chain and other challenges, prices have gone up. So the price to the store may have gone up from, say, $1 to $2. The question is the supplier charging 30% of the $2, which is now 60 cents, or is the supplier still charging in order to help the consumer and to give a little breathing room? Is the supplier still charging the 30 cents, which is a lower margin, but it gives breathing room to the consumer and more spending power? And when a consumer has more spending power, he or she usually spends quite a bit of what he or she has. So if basically the internal operating costs to the suppliers have remained stable, and they have, because electricity has not gone up, gas is, up and down, wages have not gone up, so except for those carry-on costs from the goods, the cost of the duty to the freight and so forth, the internal operational costs have not gone up significantly, if at all. So if that is the case, can we accurately say that external factors are the cause of the hike or a cause of the hike, along with local factors? I'm just asking. Let us presume, if only for discussion purposes, that I am correct. If the suppliers had stuck to the old profit of 30 cents on the good rather than 30% on it, because 30% of $1 is 30 cents, but 30% of $2 is 60 cents. So instead of charging 60 cents, adding 60 cents as profit, stick with the 30. Hold down the prices. Help to stimulate people, give them comfort and confidence, and improve your own goodwill as a business. Have our suppliers been using their consciences? Or are you going to tell me that business is so cold-blooded and capitalism is all about making whatever profits you can get away with, and to hell with all of the humanity from whom we are able to extract money to make these profits? Is that a righteous way to approach business or anything else? Can business be all and only about making profits, and the bigger the better? If that is capitalism, then it certainly needs a makeover. And if we subscribe to that, then we certainly need a change of mentality, because it doesn't make sense. Why kill the cow when you can milk it for a long, long time? What good is any practice or system if it is unfair and it exploits humanity? So if this is the mentality in a business, any business, then consumers need to be more selective in choosing where they spend their hard-earned money. This approach from business, whoever may be doing it, is just as bad as the approach that was used during COVID, whereby employees were forced to take the vaccine or alternatively to lose their jobs. And while this brutality was being perpetrated against workers, customers, consumers were invited with open arms into the stores to spend their money, whether or not vaccinated. Heartlessness, callousness, injustice. But if businesses are not going to observe fair and just practices, then the agency to ensure that they fall into line is the government. It is there to intervene and to protect and to ensure that effective and appropriate legislation and practices are in place and applied consistently and fairly in the interests of all. There's no question in my mind that generally over the past 43 years, successive administrations have been too slack with regard to food importation, food pricing, and consumer protection, not to mention the vitally important matter of food quality. Look at all of the junk that we import and consume. You are what you eat. This slackness has to stop. It was also good to hear that the government is looking to have duties calculated at pre-COVID levels, so that will bring significant relief. All we're left to ask for now are two things. One, that the businesses keep their margins not only down, but within the price control parameters that have been set. That's one. And two, ask that the government seriously recalibrate the way it calculates tariffs. And instead of charging duty on the landed cost of the good, charge it on the cost at the point of shipment overseas. And so you charge the duty on the cost of the good at the pier in Lagos, Nigeria, or in New York, not at the pier in St. Kitts. You charge the duty on that. Then you charge the customs service charge on that same cost, the cost of the good at the port in Lagos or New York, not at the cost in St. Kitts. And where value-added tax is relevant, you charge that on the same cost at the port in Lagos or in New York, not on the cost landed in St. Kitts, compounding it to calculate it against the duty and the customs service charge added up, causing you to pay a tax upon a tax. If these things can be implemented, tremendous relief can be delivered to the consumers. And I'm also happy that the government is giving some relief in the pricing structure for fuel at the pump. Reducing these things by government and private sector might mean that less money goes into the government revenue per transaction, but the volume would increase massively. More money in the hands of consumers, greater trading and sales activities, more money into social security, more money into the economy. And while we're on social security, as it gets more money under arrangements like this, if they are put in place and applied by public and private sector, who must understand we are not adversaries, we are partners and brothers and sisters in the development of our nation, to leave a legacy of honor and prosperity and decency for generations to come. And while I'm on social security, we must also make sure that no longer will politicians be allowed to raid it. So I think these measures that I'm recommending, in addition to those that have been announced, could really make a significant difference. One thing I noted, and if I'm incorrect, I'd be grateful to be corrected. I did not hear whether consumers were represented at that meeting between government and suppliers. And if none were present, then that was a mistake. Government is an important stakeholder. The suppliers are an important stakeholder. But neither would be relevant in a marketplace if there were no consumers. So I ask the government in the future, make sure that consumers are present when they speak to suppliers. Make sure that workers are represented when they speak to employers. I end today on a few more matters, very briefly. I hear the work on the Robert Bradshaw Museum is underway, and that's good. But I also hear that there's a plan to put a restaurant and bar on the property. So I ask, what kind of restaurant and bar? We have to be careful here, folks. This is the museum commemorating the life and service of our first national hero. I can understand local cultural delights, both to eat and drink. And I can understand non-intrusive and gentle local music, cultural stuff. But if this is going to be just another restaurant and bar, we will have mongolized and disrespected the concept and the practicality and reality of the museum and the memory of Mr. Bradshaw. So I hope that this thing is not just a regular restaurant and bar. Next point, as I close. I understand that the prison, the Chinese prison, which was one of the topics that raised so much concern during the last election and contributed to the demise of the former administration. I understand that the prison is underway with Chinese labor, and also that the Swiss solar farm, another topic of hot interest and concern in the election, has now been approved by the government. If this is so in both cases, we need a rationalization, an explanation, and justification for this, because these were front burner, hot button election issues. And if the people note that business as usual with regard to these projects, there's going to be a cynicism and a skepticism that is going to go very deep and last for a long time. And that's not healthy for the country. And it certainly will not be healthy politically for those who seek re-election. My final point today, and I return to discuss this, God willing, in the future, is the Citizenship by Investment Program. I'm happy to announce that the investigations are underway in the international media and in international criminal investigative institutions into the corruption that has been perpetrated in the industry in St. Kitts and Nevis and in other OECS territories in the Citizenship by Investment Program. International media and international criminal institutions are now investigating these in earnest, these practices and these perpetrators. People have generated massive fortunes from this, while the people of St. Kitts have been getting crumbs and Nevis, crumbs on this, and have been robbed of it. The robbers must be brought to justice. And this move towards serious investigation by the international media and criminal investigative institutions is great news to me. Let it be understood now that these camps are no longer safe, and it will become increasingly unsafe for them. Anybody who robs the people of this country needs to pay a dear price for it. And it looks like that payday is finally coming. It doesn't have to come locally. If local politicians and institutions are afraid, then the international community will do it. If local politicians and leaders do not do it, they too will become the objects of skepticism and scorn. And there is a way to deal with politicians who don't carry out their promises. Until next time, one love.
Well, that was Dwyer Astafan's commentary from last Wednesday. So here's what we're going to do. Let's get the commercial break out of the way, and we're going to come back and discuss all those things, whatever issue floats your boat. Give me a call, and we will discuss it. So I'm looking for a nice, healthy discussion on any one of those topics. All of the above. Whichever one floats your boat, like I said. So we will take a quick break, hear from Flo, TDC, and Rams, and we're going to get into it.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Flow Road to Home is life made simple. One affordable plan that gives you internet at home and mobile on the go. Constant connection anywhere and everywhere, wherever your plans may take you. Switch today and get double the data on your mobile with 60 gigs, plus unlimited WhatsApp and YouTube and 400 megabits per second internet speed. Flow Road to Home internet and mobile plan. Your non-stop connection. Visit a Flow store or discoverflow.co for more info. Conditions apply.
Shopping with TDC just got much easier. Here's how. Log on to shoptdcgroup.com. Shop at your convenience at any time, from anywhere, with your smartphone, tablet, or computer. With our safe and secure payment checkout, you choose the option to pick up in-store or have your goods delivered right to your door. It's that easy. Shop tdcgroup.com, your one-stop online store.
Shop anywhere, shop anytime, same quality you love. Now online. Shop
www.shoptdcgroup.com.
It's 11:37, so here's hoping we'll have a nice, robust discussion on some or all, ideally all of the issues Dwight Asafan raised in his weekly commentary. So I await your calls, and he also mentioned the plan to include a restaurant at the residence of the late national hero Robert Bradshaw. They're intending to create a museum there as well. So that was an issue I hadn't been aware of. So we talked about the cost of living and perhaps the degree to which the local importers and retailers profiteer. That's basically what he's talking about. Are these retailers, are these importers, are they taking unfair advantage of the situation? I mean, with the war, post-COVID logistical problems in terms of getting raw materials and so on delivered to, let's say, manufacturers, food processors, and these types of businesses. Are the local merchants taking unfair advantage? Of course, they have to make a profit, but a lot of interesting questions were raised. So here's hoping that I'll get some calls. No calls yet. I guess maybe I should have been talking about something a little sexier. Then the phones would be going crazy. But it's funny how sometimes you throw out topics that you think people jump all over, and you think topics that that affect everyone, and apparently no one wants any part of it, because still no calls. Okay, so here we go. So here's hoping this is the start of something good. Voices, you're on the ear. Voices, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Jamsta.
Oh, hey, what's up?
I was hoping that someone was calling.
Yes, I was hoping, but that's why I'm gonna give them their licks. So nobody, please, you guys don't come for me. I don't mean you, but you guys don't come for me because you guys. A lot of times we throw out. Socrates threw out the topic last week about the on Friday about the situation with the diplomatic snafu between Jamaica and the USA. And no, I was surprised nobody touched that. I was really surprised. Is it that we were getting?
But you did say that on the island it's limited time. Yeah, like when you're hosting a program like Voices, which is more time, I can understand that because there are times I'm tempted to call in at Island Tea, and I know the time is limited. Sometimes you segue into another program, and that's a little takeaway from the restricted time on that morning program. So I can understand that. But for now, call in. Okay, let me give you my take.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
And so food is the staff of life, right? We can all agree on that, right? And so food is very essential. And then apart from the imported form, because we would have, at one time we exported sugar, so the import-export is a thing. You spoke about Ukraine and what commodity they produce, or the agricultural stuff that they produce there, that the other part of the world is dependent on. So we can understand that. But, Ramster, we make no bones about it. You have had members of the agriculture fraternity on your program talking about assistance in certain critical areas where we can try to, however small percentage, we can try to offset the import of certain commodities, especially what we are capable of producing. And you have heard the pushback. All right? So it seems as if, the Minister of Agriculture is finally having a sit-down with those guys and wanted to do that. That's a small part of it. Mr. Asafan talked about the amount of money, our food import bill is. Another thing that he raised there, also that caught my attention, something that's evading me right now, but I don't get back to that. But as for the food import, how can our farmers, with all of the challenges that they have, at least do what they are capable of doing to kind of try to offset that? So that is one of the contentious issue there. The farmers made mention of not getting assistance in terms of the tractors, and they made the comparative analysis as to how many tractors will cost, as opposed to other things where monies would have been dispersed to, like entertainment and other areas. And speaking of something that Mr. Dwyer asked and this spoke about, the museum, that is really the museum, and I agree with the museum at the our national hero, Robert Llewellyn Bratcher's house. Yes, and I agree that a restaurant could be there, but as to what are you going to sell at the restaurant? It should be something that would bring about the better ambience of a museum, and even if a certain genre of music, it should be a more of a cultural norm in terms of a restaurant and a museum, certain cultural cuisine, to really carry off that ambience. I agree about that. But in terms of certain, I catch the drift where Mr. Askan was going, even though he didn't specify alcoholic beverages. But, consuming alcoholic beverages, and none of us have any control when we consume alcoholic beverages, none. People will remind us of what we said the day before, the day after. So okay. I understand that.
Okay, so what do you think about the cost of living aspect of his commentary? Aspects.
Yes, I was trying to get back to what you said, and Mr. Warner, the in-house economist would have given his take on it the other day on the radio, and I agree with him because the cost of living and the minimum wage, rather, yes, that is what I was trying to get at. The minimum wage and the cost of living, and it can be done, but it should be done in stages to really, for it to really like mesh with our present state of affair, and I'm going into certain areas that it might offset not having wanted to lose any jobs from employers and employees and all of that. I understand where Mr. Warner was coming from. So all of that, yes. Should we get a hike in the minimum wage? Yes, I agree on it. How can it be done? And in a phase basis, I agree, so that family members will not be laid off because of the employer don't want to comply and the offset and all of that. It was some about the freight rate now, back to the food import bill. The freight rate. I read an article quite some time ago as to say how many thousands of percentage the freight, the freight went up. And it was taken to the House, the committee. In the U.S. they have these committees set up to really look at things unethical or otherwise. And it got to that level where they had a discussion as to how these people exponentially raised up their prices with the freight rates and, all of the different freight companies that they listed. And so that they offset everything. Like you say, everything affects everything. Here is it, the local investors are having to pay such an enormous freight rate. That buck has to be carried on to someone else, and it's always, most time, carried on to the consumers.
I think Dwyer also raised one thing that I've always said. I've always thought he was proposing that the taxes are only, the duties and so on, only be charged on what the thing costs, rather than the shipping to here, the landed costs and all that. I've always thought that that's not the government's business. Okay, I've always said that. I've always said, if I buy something and sometimes I pay shipping twice, because sometimes I buy stuff and I have to pay, you might have to pay shipping depending on who it is and what it is. You have to pay shipping from the person you bought it from to the mailbox in Miami. And then you have to pay the shipping from there to here, from Miami to here, right? And I've always thought that is not the government's business. I bought the thing, okay, I have to bring it in. What I paid for shipping is not your business. Just charge me on what the thing cost. So it was interesting to hear.
Yeah, and that's one of the questions they will ask you, so that they will come about that. And then there are international standards. There's so many international bodies that has been established because of these things. And what were they established for? To really curtail would-be persons who would want to, exploit peoples.
But to be fair, though,
are they serving their real purpose? Yeah. I doubt it.
But to be fair, I've noticed that apparently they don't charge. Sometimes you buy things online, and the seller might charge you, depending on what state it's being shipped, what state the seller is in. You may have to pay a tax, like a tax on the good. I've noticed that customs doesn't include that in the cost, which is good. I don't know if I have it wrong, but yeah, I don't think they charge. So that's good to know. So I think that should be extended to the shipping as well, because it has to get here, and I don't think that's really the government's purview. Okay.
Talking about the shipping, we're talking about the maritime boundaries, maritime laws and so. But here now we're talking about aerial flight. There's a flight, an inaugurated flight coming in today, and you all had a discussion even on that. All of those taxes that was put on to your ticket has reduced the travel experience in our islands, right? And here is it now, we have more airlift, but would they last? You know what I mean? Because everybody's going to want to be competitive. And someone said about LEAT is no way in the mix. an airline that we have depended on for so long, for the longest of time.
I think that's a good. I think that's a good thing because Liat doesn't seem to be interested in really changing for the better. So maybe
Liat in
I mean-
itself is an entity, but Liat just don't fly on its own. You know, the airline just don't fly on its own. It depended on the government of the regions, whether they support it or not.
But that's part of
Before
the
it moved
problem.
to-
That's part of the problem. Meaning, because Liat know he can always count on the largesse of and the charity of certain sub-regional governments, they just continue doing the same thing and expect to get a different result. Meaning, for example, having maybe way more people employed by Liat than there should be. That is that is maybe feasible.
But basically, in a vacuum, that's just my take on it. Other persons would want to call in, and I hope they're
Okay,
listening.
yes.
And will call in as soon as I have, so I give other people
Okay, great.
persons
But
a chance to do so.
well, just so you know, no one was calling, and makes me wonder what's going on. Maybe I should be discussing sexier topics. I don't know. Okay, here. Oh, we have a call. Interesting. Call. Go right ahead.
Yes, Jamsta.
All right.
Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I want to say Win FM should have the telephone in a way that when someone is on the line and they see the other lines lighting up,
No, that's what I do.
put the person on hold, you know?
No, that's what I do. Well, you know, that's a good point. But sometimes when I do that, what I realize is the reason I don't do it every time is because I know some people are thinking, okay, if they're calling from a cell phone, they'll be thinking, well, this guy.
The money gonna go, okay.
Yes, yeah, that's the main reason I don't do it usually.
Yeah, but when it comes to our landline here,
Yeah,
we
that's a
call
different
and say
matter.
that the
Yeah.
line is busy and whatnot, so we got to back off until the person finish. But anyway, that's beside the point. Let's go to this. A lot of things that Doyle talk about, I agree with him. Because these merchants, they've been robbing the customers, the consumers, them years ago. And then it was a Cold War with Ukraine and Russia now. Everybody using that as an excuse. But I agree that it has some effect on the goods that people have to purchase. But the way that these merchants carry up the things is like they're gone up in space and the customers down here under the clouds. So how are we going to reach up there with the small Mickey Mouse minimum wage? The minimum wage and the cost of living, they're supposed to be close to each other, at least when one lean, they touch one on the other shoulder. Not the minimum wage got to tiptoe and use ladder to go up, and they still cannot reach the price of the goods. So therefore, all those people who are robbing people, and at the end of the year, they're smiling, grinning from ear to ear, saying how much profit they make through the year. Well, who they make it from? And we the tail end customers them? They need to have some compassion and consideration for the buyers. Now let me go here now to this museum thing. This museum is not bad. It is a good thing to make a museum. But as Gloria say, they want to have a restaurant in there. Well, how come they didn't put no restaurant in the existing museum down at the old Treasury building? Is something else in the pestle mixing up beside the martyr? That kind of restaurant around here, I would put me neck on any block and in front any gun barrel. That is not going to be a cool restaurant that people go there and enjoy something to eat or whatever it is without getting drunk or consuming alcohol. Because who should have more priority? The school for the children them or the museum? What a rush it is to go and say, well, you're breaking down to go build a museum. And what happened to the school, the children them? For Basel High School, grammar school I would call it. We know there's still up tailors in those two long wooden buildings. They're on vacation right now. School going to open in September. And no sign of foundation going up with a school structure. We see sign that started on the old grammar school building. But now they're asking for tender to demolish it when they already started to demolish that. You're supposed to put tenders before you start to break down. And who win the tender when they will do the breaking down. The ground has already been cleared. Where Sean Richards make the decision to choose that area. But why can't they go there? Go continue to walk up there? Why are they running from it? Snake up there, bomb up there? That they don't want to go up there and continue what was left from the farmer administration? Why they have to go so they're breaking down the building? And the whole place up there is contaminated because one of the doctors who advised them when they were politicking about it, he said he went up there and he took up some sand and he put his name out and nothing wrong with it. But why are they breaking it down? Why? That's why do you say, the prison where they're building over there, the Chinese prison, it was bang about before election in politics. And now, who paying the Chinese them? The same thing that they were condemning. Who doing it now? These are things that people got to be careful what they say before any kind of election come. The school should have first priority over any kind of museum. The children need a proper place to go. Those wooden buildings with all kind of mold in all kind of building around the place. And termite. Those buildings are up there on cane land, and cane land have a way to produce termite very quick. Who knows what's under the floor of those two long wooden buildings? It's time to take those children out of those two wooden buildings and put them in the proper structure that should be built for them. I don't understand what's going on around here. Anyway, let me get out of the way because I know other people want to come in and I don't like to block people.
Okay.
I'll come back later, Jamsta.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, but to be clear, there are 3 lines. Well, there are 5 lines. So if someone is on one line and you happen to call and the line is busy, it probably means that that's probably the person that's on air. But if there was no one calling while Culture and the previous caller were speaking, so that's the reason I let them talk. As I keep saying, I give people provisional time. I mean, I might if the calls are coming thick and fast, then I'm gonna have to make people be brief. Voices, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Jamsta.
Hey, good morning.
Why didn't you correct the last caller with the ignorance you were speaking about? Because he wants now this administration to continue what the former administration was doing, where they was trying to build on what they call part of the aquifer. And you were just on the radio speaking about when you take your jogs, all the different debris. You see why you didn't shut up the caller and explain to him the reason why it shouldn't be built there.
Yeah, I wanted him to get his spiel out, and I didn't really think of it. I just said let him talk, and
that I could understand.
But that's fair. That's fair.
But the caller there, he makes a lot of contribution to the radio. Some of them are good, especially when he's speaking about sports. But a lot of the other things he speaks about is very ignorant. And it seems like he's up to date or educated, but he does just talk a lot of foolishness sometimes. For example, the schools that they have at close to Washington Archibald are supposed to be temporary. And in my opinion, they are very properly built, but they're temporary. And it was done to take the children from home, being at home, out where they could be practical before a live teacher. But they are temporary. And to me, they are very built for what they're supposed to serve. The only problem is that they are small in terms of hosting the amount of students they need to host. But they are temporary and they're properly built. And what Canaan he's talking about, basically most areas up there were Canaan at one time. But they don't have any termites. And the only thing maybe is centipede. But you don't have that because they're very built. And the road, they have proper roads, and I think they have trouble put down a lot of gravel. So, it's very good in my opinion. So that person does talk a lot of ignorance most times. And so I don't know, but I wanted to really call in to ask you why you didn't correct him on the aquifer. But you said it wasn't on your mind at the time, so it slipped you. Other than that, that's basically what I have to say.
Okay. Well, and I kind of thought that, well, I took them at their word when they said that that part of the aquifer was not an issue as far as potential contamination of the larger aquifer. So that's probably the reason. That's probably the reason why I didn't even think of that.
Listen, I have been up there, and I always was in disagreement with the school being built there. I was always in disagreement, and I think the farm administration just wanted political points. I said, let me tell you something. Harris was a good leader. The problem with him, he was coming as normal, the normal tendency of ministers normally. He started off very well, very, very well. He was put there by God, and he knows that too. But he was coming the basic political of doing things, like how the Labour did it, how Pam did it. Pam started, Labour came in, add to it, did very well, started to do bad. It pushed out Timothy, it pushed out Sam, and they started a revolution, and they started a party, and the head man who was under the Prime Minister at the time, Douglas, started to become polluted, and so he was pushed out. Okay. And you know what the sign was? A controversy happened within his party, and that's the only reason why it broke apart.
Okay,
and
we have to end it here on Midday News. You can feel free to call back after. It's very, very engaging conversation. So feel free. Sure. Feel free to call back. We're gonna continue this discussion, and hopefully, we can generate even more engaging convo after the break. We have to break for the Midday News.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Caribbean.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, Only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
With the Win FM Midday News, I am Yolanda Weeks. These are our top stories. St. Kitts Nevis Police searches for 3 young males suspected of committing several malicious damages. Taxi operators in St. Kitts vent about draft policies, threatens legal action. Across the region, Jack Warner's pending return to politics. Internationally, thousands protest in Israel. These stories and more straight ahead. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is seeking the public's assistance in locating 3 suspects of a recent spate of violent activities at the F.T. Williams Highway in the vicinity of the St. Kitts and Nevis Defense Force camp. The 3 suspects, based on footage released by police, are juveniles. A release from the police states, quote, "These persons are suspected of committing multiple instances of malicious damage along the F.D. Williams Highway between July 15, 2023 and July 21, 2023. Motorists have made reports that an individual or more have been throwing bottles and stones at oncoming vehicles late at night over the past week. A photo that has gone viral showed a vehicle's rear passenger glass smashed, whilst a video also in circulation gave evidence of broken bottles and stones on the street and the sidewalk. Individuals are asked to contact the nearest police station if they have pertinent information to assist with the investigations. A meeting held to discuss draft policies that would guide the daily operations of tour and taxi operators at Port Zante in the upcoming tourism season has left some members of the various taxi and tour associations up in arms. The meeting, which was held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort on July 18, brought together representatives from the various associations to give their feedback on the proposed draft policies, which could include a passenger tax. President of the St. Kitts Taxi Association, Sylvester Socrates Hodge, who hosted Friday, July 21 edition of Voices, shared a few of the proposed policies that were not very well received by the group.
Some of the policies were laid out. One that has caused some angst was the control of the traffic on the port. What they're saying that when you arrive in the morning, you'll be given a ticket. Upon inspection of your vehicle, you'll be issued a ticket. And upon leaving the port with the job, you must present that ticket. It may be punched or whatever the method, but that determines that you would have been given a job from the dispatching point. The challenge with that, I would say about 80% of those operating at Port Zante do not go to the dispatching point to get the job. They solicit the work in the open area. And so that creates a challenge. How do you present your ticket to the security, whomever, tourism authority when you're leaving the port, when you didn't get your job through or at the dispatching point? And it was said that it can be embarrassing if you show up at that point to exit and you don't have that ticket. The passengers will be removed from the vehicle.
Some of the callers to the program who are taxi operators expressed their dissatisfaction with the proposal, with one lamenting that operators will likely lose their independence if the policies are implemented.
This meeting that took place over Marriott a few days ago with the Minister of Tourism,
yes,
with what she have tried to push on taxi operator. taxi operator needs to rise up right now and speak out concerning what was discussed over into that meeting.
Yes.
He must know that the Minister of Tourism are wanting to control taxi operator like we work for them. We do not work for them. We are independent people. The next thing that really hurt me the most is when they're going to say one cannot leave Port Dante with a job unless it is not dispatched by the SKN team and have a ticket. They will take they will take the persons out of their buses.
Passengers.
They are looking for a soap. That is a serious soap. So tourism got money to give away. Right? I want to educate taxi operators that they cannot do nothing like that.
On the discussion of taxes based on revenue, Socrates said once the idea is implemented, the ticket presented at the dispatching point will be one of the ways to determine how much money is made.
Now, the other thing about the $1.50 per head, that was discussed some years ago. And what they're saying that I think it was the tour companies that was asked to pay it, I'm not sure, but they're saying it creates an unfair situation where some are asked to pay and some not. So they will look to implement a certain form of taxation. They will come to a figure. They've not decided. We have folks there from Inland Revenue and Finance Department. And they were listening because they want to get the feedback from the majority of persons who should have been there. So what they're suggesting is that maybe at the start of the season, or maybe once, twice, 3 times per year, whatever the schedule, that we pay a certain amount of tax.
The caller publicly requested a meeting with fellow taxi operators and also encouraged them to consider sourcing a lawyer to represent the group, as he believes that the matter surrounding the policies will be brought before the court.
How much more do you want us to say for? We just went through COVID there, and tourism have not looked upon no taxi operator. People bus have been taken away from them. We have been struggling. People think taxi man make hell in the devil out there. And now this Minister of Tourism wants to come pressure us that we cannot even leave Port San to be a job unless we have a paper from them.
According to Socrates, there are about 300 taxi and tour operators in St. Kitts, but there were just about 70 operators in attendance at the meeting. However, he hinted that another meeting between the Taxi Association's presidents and the Minister of Tourism is likely, and that the general members of the Taxi Association could expect another consultation to make their input to the final draft of the policies. Honorable Marsha Henderson, Minister of Tourism, alluded to the consultations at the Prime Minister's press conference, noting that upon conclusion, the stakeholders will be engaged in training ahead of the new cruise season.
Team Antigua Island girls have conquered the Pacific edition of the world's toughest road challenge. The team, which became the first all-black female team to voluntarily cross the Atlantic in 2019, arrived at the finish line in Hawaii shortly after 6 this evening Atlantic Standard Time. The island girls had already put in their orders for their first meals ashore. Well-wishers watched their arrival live on the World's Toughest Roads Facebook page. Here's a snippet of what unfolded as they came ashore.
What an effort. Wow. Where did you get that energy from to come in just now? I mean, you were first seen, 5 miles off the coast, and it looked like you were going to head straight on past.
Yeah.
That row in, what did it take?
Everything we had and more. Yeah, we kept encouraging each other. That was like, we have to finish. We cannot go over 2,000 miles to not finish.
Right.
That wasn't even an option for us. We just had to finish.
And when I saw your faces and we got out there and I saw you smiling and singing, no less, I'm thinking, you guys need to put the effort of singing into the oars. But it didn't matter because you did it. You sang and you came in.
Yes.
Really, really incredible.
Squall after squall after squall, just pushing us in the wrong direction.
No let up at all.
Rain, winds, waves, away from Kauai.
Yeah.
It was brutal, but
So those challenges that you faced, like, you know, you pulled together as a team, what have you learned about yourselves on this road?
We learned that we're badasses. I mean, we pretty much can get through anything together. The team, we always like to stress teamwork makes the dream work. There's no Kevin or Sam or Crystal in this. It's a sisterhood, it's a team, and wherever one is lacking, the other one always picks up. So that's what we try to carry through every challenge that we do. So, you know.
Of course, the Island girls, Samara, Crystal, and Kevinia finished the challenge in 9th place. And they finished the challenge, of course, in 41 days. As at mid-afternoon, the team had raised $21,497 of their $25,000 goal in support of the establishment of a facility for girls in conflict with the law right here in Antigua and Barbuda. Of course, there's much more to come on this in subsequent newscasts. Of course, there's more reactions, of course, from the girls.
Energy Minister Stuart Young dancing to the beat on stage at the PNM's public meeting in Chaguanas on Friday night before he got into the rhythm of his speech that first focused on local government reform in a municipality that has long been a stronghold of the opposition UNC.
What the UNC has done whilst they've held the Chaguanas Corporation, they have had all of the power, all of the money, and they have done nothing for Chaguanas.
But then Minister Young focused on what appears to be the pending return of former Chaguanas West MP and former FIFA Vice President Jack Warner to frontline politics during the campaign for the local government elections within a coalition involving the Independent Liberal Party, the ILP, which Mr. Warner founded, the National Transformation Alliance, the NTA, led by former Police Commissioner Guy Griffith, and the United National Congress, led by opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessor.
I want to remind the people of Trinidad here tonight of what it is to do business in those kind of coalitions. The last coalition we had between 2010 and 2015. Remember when all of them came together? Well, I'm offering Jack Warner a ticket to Miami tonight.
Mr. Warner, a former cabinet minister in the 2010 to 2015 UNC-led People's Partnership Administration, left the party to form the ILP before eventually bowing out of frontline politics. The Facebook page of St. Augustine MP Khadija Amin displays 3 photos and a caption which shows Mr. Warner, Opposition Senator Jolene John, and MP Amin in what the MP called a planning session at the Tunapuna Regional Office with Tunapuna Piarco and East-West Corridor candidates of the UNC, NTA and ILP ahead of what is being touted as a massive joint political meeting at the Center of Excellence at 7 p.m. on Monday. Minister Young made reference to Mr. Warner's legal battle against his extradition to the United States.
A first-class ticket to Jack tonight. So when you want to jump on platform on Monday, understand they have a first-class ticket to Miami waiting for him if he wants to go. Because you see, when countries ask for people to be extradited, that is an important thing and we must listen. Well, let me explain to you all what the request for extradition is. Extradition, sorry. They have asked for him to come to the United States to face some serious charges.
Minister Young also referred to an audio recording that first surfaced during the 2015 general election campaign, critical of the alleged work ethic of the then Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessor. The recording was played during this speech by Works and Transport Minister Rohan Sinanan at the PNM meeting on Friday night.
And when you hear people talk about the laziness of somebody and bad talk them in the manner that we just heard, but a few seconds later, that is the best thing since sliced bread, stand up and take note.
In a statement, Mr. Griffith said the use of the audio recording was, according to him, laughable, as he said it is an 8-year-old recording which was done after both Mr. Warner and himself left the UNC. Mr. Griffith also said it is a fact that people do change their minds and opinions of their political opponents. Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. Lawmakers in Israel's parliament have started voting on a contentious law that cuts back on judicial oversight of the government. Thousands of protesters are at the parliament building. A person involved in the negotiations speaking to NPR on the condition of anonymity confirms talks to find a compromise on the issue collapsed this morning. It's not clear if the bill will still pass as is or whether there will be a last-minute compromise. The United Nations Command says it has started talking with the North Korean military about the U.S. soldier who crossed into North Korea last week. The UN Command oversees the inter-Korean border. Se-Woon Gong reports from Seoul.
The deputy commander of the UN Command said the dialogue started through a communication channel between the command and the North Korean People's Army. The channel is located in the Joint Security Area, the zone where Army Private Travis King ran across the border during a tour last Tuesday, according to witness accounts. General Andrew Harrison of the UNC refused to share further details, saying King's welfare is at stake. He added that the ongoing investigation is also looking into how King could join the tour, even as he was facing disciplinary action over assault charges. For NPR News, I'm Se-Eun Gong in Seoul.
It's been more than a week since a shocking flash flood crashed through an area north of Philadelphia. 6 people were killed in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, including a mother and her 2-year-old daughter. Tom Sino is the chair of a local township. He says Pennsylvania rescuers are still searching for the family's missing baby boy.
Our first responders saved many lives and are continuing to try and find Conrad.
Authorities say the family and other victims who perished did not drive into the floodwaters. They were surprised and instantly overpowered by the flash flood. Home insurance is increasingly expensive and difficult to buy in the United States. NPR's Rebecca Hersher reports climate change is partly to blame.
This summer, a slew of large insurance companies have announced that they're going to stop offering new home insurance policies, and in some cases not renew existing policies, in Florida and California. And nationwide, the average cost of home insurance is up about 20% since 2015. That's partly because climate-driven wildfires and hurricanes have caused hundreds of billions of dollars in damage in recent years, which has insurers worried. Dave Jones is the former top insurance regulator for the state of California.
In California and elsewhere through the United States, we're marching steadily towards an uninsurable future.
That's bad news. Without home insurance, people can't get mortgages and may lose everything if a disaster damages or destroys their uninsured home. Rebecca Hersher, NPR News.
The Justice Department is telling the state of Texas to take down its floating border barrier in the Rio Grande by today. Otherwise, it will take legal action. Texas Governor Greg Abbott set it up to deter migrants, but the federal government says this risks public safety and interferes with shipping. The United Nations Children's Fund reports at least 435 children have been killed and more than 2,000 injured in the conflict in Sudan. It's been more than 3 months. Lisa Schlein reports from Geneva. UNICEF says the true figures are probably much higher.
Over the past 100 days, UNICEF reports nearly 2 million children have become displaced inside Sudan, and another 1.7 million are on the move, fleeing across borders as refugees. Every day, UNICEF says children are being abducted, recruited into armed groups, and gender-based violence against women and girls is on the rise. It reports many hospitals and schools have been destroyed or damaged, and life-saving supplies of food and medicines have been looted. As a result, it reports at least 690,000 children are suffering from life-threatening severe acute malnutrition. For NPR News, I'm Lisa Schlein in Geneva.
There appears to be a hung parliament in Spain after yesterday's national elections. No political party won a majority in parliament, and it's not clear how either of the two leading Spanish parties can form a government. It may take months of negotiations to do so, or possibly a fresh election.
Hello, I'm Emily Thomas with the BBC News. Talks aimed at finding a compromise over proposed legal reforms in Israel that have triggered some of the biggest protests in the country's history have collapsed. Opposition members of parliament said earlier they'd boycott a vote on the reforms if compromise talks failed. From Jerusalem, here's Paul Adams.
Essentially what you've got is a host, scores of objections to the one major aspect of Mr Netanyahu's reforms that is due to be voted on tonight, and that is what is called the reasonableness clause. That is the ability of the Supreme Court to decide whether or not government decisions are reasonable. So it is a day of high drama, but it is only one day in an extremely protracted process of Mr Netanyahu and his attempts to reform the legal process to reduce the power of the Supreme Court. That is a process that's been underway for months and is likely to carry on for a lot longer.
More than 80 wildfires are now burning in Greece, with tens of thousands of residents and tourists forced to flee. The Greek government says it's launched the biggest rescue of its kind in response to the emergency, and the European Union has sent hundreds of firefighter reinforcements, along with 7 aircraft. There's been a large explosion at a military camp in the Somali capital, Mogadishu. A suicide bomber detonated a device, and there are unconfirmed reports that at least 20 soldiers were killed. Here's Will Ross.
Charlie Siad College in the Somali capital Mogadishu is meant to be well protected, but a military source said the suicide bomber got inside wearing an army uniform and carrying fake ID. He reportedly detonated the explosives when many soldiers were on parade. Eyewitnesses saw wounded victims being taken away to hospitals. The Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab was quick to claim the attack. It's been under pressure due to an ongoing military offensive. Earlier this month, Somali Special Forces said 40 Al-Shabaab fighters had been killed by ground troops and airstrikes in the south of the country.
After another night of Russian drone attacks on port infrastructure, the governor of the Odessa region, Oleg Kipa, says Russia is trying to fully block the export of Ukrainian grain and make the world starve. Sasha Schlichter reports.
Odessa, Ukraine's main port city, has been largely spared in the war, but once Russia withdrew from the Black Sea grain deal exactly a week ago, it started targeting the very grain whose exports it had been allowing. The early hours of Monday saw a prolonged drone attack on a port grain terminal. Simultaneously, further south on the Danube, the river port of Reni was targeted, with 3 grain depots destroyed.
You're listening to the latest world news from the BBC. The World Food Programme has warned that more people will go hungry because of Russia pulling out of its grain deal with Ukraine. The agreement had allowed ships to export Ukrainian crops through the Black Sea without being attacked, but it ran out last week and Russia is refusing to renew it. The decision has led to a rise in the price of wheat. China's powerful Politburo has warned that the country's economy is facing new difficulties and challenges and that the process of recovery will be tortuous. A statement read out on state television after a meeting of China's most senior leaders pointed to the negative effects of insufficient demand and operational difficulties in some companies, as well as increased risks in key areas. The Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg has been fined for disobeying the police during a protest in Malmö in June. She told the court in the southern Swedish city she'd been given an order which she hadn't listened to and denied any criminal activity, but the court found her guilty. The Twitter boss Elon Musk has scrapped the iconic bird logo and replaced it with an X. The bird, known as Larry, had been the logo since 2006. Chris Vallance reports.
The new logo, a white X on a black background, follows the launch of X.AI, Elon Musk's new artificial intelligence venture. The SpaceX founder also has a child whose name begins X and found early business success with an online bank called X.com. Twitter's chief executive, Linda Yaccarino, tweeted, or perhaps X'd, that this marked the transition to an app that would create a global marketplace for ideas, goods, services and opportunities. Mr. Musk has previously signalled his desire to turn Twitter into a so-called everything app.
Chris Vallance reporting. That was the world news from the BBC with me, Emily Thomas.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Caribbean.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
The South 98.9 FM.
Riddle this, riddle that. Horseman's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store is again giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars in cashback for free groceries with every hire purchase. Will be given back this coupon season. Happening now. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in cashback coupon to all our hire purchase customers this coupon season. Starting now until December 2023. You get absolutely free groceries with every hire purchase at our Horseman's Furniture and Appliances stores on St. Kitts Nevis and our Ashley Home Store on St. Kitts. So riddle this. Where can you get quality furniture and appliances at great prices with a flexible FlexPlay plan and with absolutely free groceries with every hire purchase? Riddle that. Cashback at Horseman's Furniture and Appliances on St. Kitts Nevis and our Ashley Home Store on St. Kitts. Riddle this. Riddle that. Horseman's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store is giving you over $250,000 in cashback and a chance to win free groceries for a year. Riddle that cashback. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
It's 12:35 and we're back for the second half of Voices. And this segment is brought to you by Hosford's. And we have lots of things to talk about. I'm just going to go straight to the phone lines. Voices, go right ahead.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good
Trevor.
afternoon. How are you doing?
I gotta try to remember Jamsta, you know. Could tell I Ole.
How are you doing?
Now, this morning, I must apologize for my absence because
Yes.
I like to fill in the gaps, you know.
Yes.
I went to take a shower.
Go ahead and apologize because I'm
Yes, because when I came back, I
upset.
heard you talking, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't let people just talk. Now, I must remind your last caller, we do not attack people personal. You know, everybody have their point of view. And I found his remarks very unprofessional. And Mr. Culture, please do not call in to respond to him. Because it's a circle, you understand? That's why some people don't call in, you know. Because there are other people who are just waiting to pounce on people. Now, let me get to the museum. Mr. Bracha? That was a good idea, but I was wondering, will they be able to retrieve enough of the artifacts? You know, he used to wear these English scissors tail, coat tail, and top hat and whatever. He was very British. And his army uniform that he wore in the late 60s and 70s. There is, he used to have a wooden lion carved on the step at the bottom of the government headquarters. I learned from someone that it was stored at the Public Works Department, somewhere there. You know, we want things that are meaningful, not a political exhibition. We're going to display him as a national hero. You see where I'm heading?
Yeah.
So if there are artifacts that would highlight him for his contributions, because, I mean, there's a lot of controversy about him, but if you're going to have a museum, you know, at least it should highlight the best of him. So that is the museum. The one with Mr. Astapan is very interesting, you know. Very interesting. His comments. Because he should know firsthand the practices of the retail and commercial sector in our country. The COVID highlight the bad practices that they had. It does make it more glaring, I know. Now we're talking about increasing salary. It becomes more vivid. Now the percentage, and I'm talking from knowledge, thank you.
Okay.
That the cost and insurance and freight is the price of the good coming into the country. If you leave off the freight, that is not the correct price of the good. Freight could be zero, you know, because some companies give free freight, So you first look at the cost of the item or the commodity or the goods coming into the country. I think it is on that they put the markup. Of course, bearing in mind there is the transportation costs from the port to the place of business. And there is also part of what we call the fixed costs, the maintenance and the wages and so. The 20% on some goods and 30% on other goods. I went to Miami in 1986. We went to what's the name of the chain, the supermarket chain? Miami. We went there. We were
Pueblo,
taken there.
you talking about?
Who?
Pueblo, Publix?
Big up in a man, but it's slipping me.
Pueblo.
Anyway.
Must be Pueblo. Not Pueblo. A P.
Anyway, what I learned
PNG.
is that the markup is 1.5%, you know? You understand? There's a supermarkets are allowed 1.5% markup. Here they are given 30% markup. So by the time, so you have the markup there, and then it gets to the store, and another markup, and then we have this situation in St. Kitts, where a lot of the wholesalers have retail enterprises, so they go to the markup twice.
You are right. I remember I was reading an article last year, which was saying that most of the grocery stores in the U.S. I was saying I read an article which said, to your point, said that most of the grocery store chains, they operate on a profit of 1.3%. 1 to 3%. I was really surprised. I didn't realize it was. But
just check them.
And extrapolating from your point, I realize, yes, that there's something amiss here. But, I mean, perhaps if we did what Dwyer suggested, which is just charge cost on the actual cost of the goods rather than the freight, because we all know that adds a big
that is called, by the way, that's called the landed cost,
Mm-hmm.
That's the landed cost of the good into the country. CIF, cost, insurance, and freight.
Mm-hmm. But
so that is where the markup story starts.
Well, let me ask you: is it done the way are there any countries where it's done the way Dwyer suggests?
I believe so, but the only thing I doubt is this double marking up. And what make it worse, smaller retailers buy from the wholesaler and have to compete against the wholesaler's retail enterprise, which mark up the goods that they sell them. You see what the dilemma we have?
Yes.
You got a small shop, you can only buy small quantities, so you end up buying it at the supermarket. You know, so sometimes they could take a little part. Since they own the supermarket, they could take a smaller markup. So a pure marking up going on around here. Now, I wonder, these enterprises also hire people so that they are aware of the marking up and the increase in the cost or the price. Have they ever wondered how far these minimum wage pay can go, or are they encouraging the workers to steal? I could, if I get a minimum and I work in a supermarket, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but the temptation to help yourself is there.
Let me ask
you a question. Because your boss knows your money can't buy anything, but you have to work 5, 6, 7 days a week. So I don't know how we can get around it, because if you listen to the Prime Minister, he has already conceded that the salary is not going to increase by anything significant. Any kind of increase that we get presently will not better the situation of the workers, because all the concessions they give, they're not paying the full income tax. And it's significant, They're not paying the consumption tax.
But
they're not paying the full electrical price, the price for the electricity that they use in their business.
But Ms. Senna, let me ask you a question. You pointed out the kind of margins that, let's say, the big retailers, the big grocery stores, say in the U.S. Operate under, and versus what they operate under here. And you've heard, like, I remember one time Dr. Harris saying, I remember him being asked, might have been even earlier last year, where he was asked about price control and so on. He said, well, you can't really, you can't really, while you would admonish them to, well, try not to be so extortionate with your markups, but you said you can't really force them. But is that really true? I mean, aren't there any jurisdictions where the government maybe takes a more proactive and toothsome stand on markups by retailers? I mean, is it beyond the pale? Is it beyond the pale to say, listen, you cannot?
Look, the government could ask them to change it because it is not a legal thing. In having a conversation with the chamber, they have agreed between 20 to 30% markup on the goods. Now, if this is the situation, haven't given them all of these exemption, and I call them subsidies, right? The government could say, look, well, since you don't have to pay your full, mark up 10% then on some goods. In negotiation, I say we can't negotiate because what the government should do is to put a price on the value of the subsidies that they're actually giving to the companies. You don't think so? Let them see what they're getting. Because whatever they get is what is not going into the inland revenue. I doubt some of them pay Social Security for the workers. We need to quantify. Look, since you're only paying this for the electricity, therefore you have that. You're not paying and the tax or the import duty on the transportation, whatever. This is what you are getting.
And also, with the renewal of some of these concessions that the government is continuing, I'm wondering, does Consumer Affairs maybe follow up to maybe do comparisons of prices before to see if the prices are if the prices are reflecting the concessions? I mean, I understand that some things may have gone up. Have gone up because of the war and so on, but the
government, look, access to the data is there. They now have the import. The thing is done online, right? So when the items come into the country, all the information, the CIF cost is there, because when you go to clear the goods, it is entered into the system. So the government could have an actual look. This is what you actually paid. Because remember talking about CIF, right? This is what it actually cost you, say last month. And this is what the same good costing you this month. It has only increased by 1%, 2%, 20%. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, based on that information, they could then negotiate, but you can't negotiate if you don't know what you're talking about. And the trade data is the government owned. They don't have to call no name. They could even ask companies, if you want us to renegotiate, we would like to get from you some information. But because the truth is the Chamber of Commerce, not the Chamber, the ministry, their work and their power limited, And as we said, this is an open economy. The government just can't go and impose price control.
But here's a question, though. If the government can, we used to have the supply office, which, if you think about it, is a kind of...
If they close it,
yeah, I know. But the point I'm making is, if the government can decide that, well, I guess that's a little different because it's just the government saying, okay, I'm not going to charge VAT.
The government could actually go back and import the goods if they want.
Yes, but why was it abandoned? Is it maybe
the private sector was complaining? It's always there, they help shut down Semaco. They were complaining of the competition and that the government did not need to make a profit because it was not a business. So therefore the government could afford to sell the milk cheaper, sell the sugar, the rice and the flour. And they say, look, you can't be in government and competing against the private sector. Greg would like that. You understand? So of course the government gave in and gave them the authority to bring in the milk and bring in the this and bring in the that, but they could not control the price. So every little chance the importer gets it, carries it up. Some may be valid.
Okay.
So for them to, I don't even know if they would
Okay,
want
Miss Henry,
to.
we have a call. I was letting you go on because there were no calls. But
Yes, but
you can call back.
please.
You can call back. Sorry. Oh, right. Sorry. That was a kind of a rude cut off there. Call, go right ahead.
Good day, Jamsta.
Hi, what's up?
I'm good. Jamsta, this morning I tried to get in on your program with about 15 attempts and I didn't. While Mrs. Henry was on, I just thought, I said, let me try it again. So I got you on your 662. However,
yeah, but trust me,
no,
I'm watching the phone and there were no calls while
Jamsta,
she was. Yes.
Jamsta, can I ask you if your 762 number, does it work?
Yes, we have an issue with that. We have an issue with that number. It's supposed to be looked into. Digital hasn't showed up yet, as far as I know.
Also, I mentioned this on Socrates on Friday. The same thing was happening. I thought it was. I don't want to mention the amount of attempts I made, but I finally got in. I closed Socrates' program as the last caller on Friday after making. I can give you the figure, but I won't say it. Now, to the point of the high cost of living, Jamsta, in my opinion. Now, here's the thing, right? I visit the market on a Saturday. There are certain commodities that are there. Sweet peppers, lettuce, local grown lettuce, and avocado. Jamsta, there's a greediness that is going on right now in local produce. Now, some of the avocado, you go and you look at them and you make your choice. And the seller would tell you, oh, they're going to ripen 2 days. I had to take back avocado the following week to a certain vendor. Now, a couple months ago, there was an agriculture show over on the bypass, King Collins Highway. I bought a chair of sweet peppers, Jamsta, from the agriculture department. With the heat wave and the drought that is going on, I have an irrigation system. So I would try to water what I had, those sweet peppers. I managed to get the first set of sweet peppers that were firm and hard sold to a vendor on the strip. The second set of sweet peppers, Jamsta, they start quailing on the tree and the tree started to wither. Although I have an irrigation system, but I couldn't do much watering with the drought. So I don't know if it's the heat that caused this to happen. Only to find Saturday was when I was at the market, I see the same sweet peppers. Why I see the same, Jamsta? Now here are the three colors that my pepper that I got from the agriculture was. They were green, red, yellow, purple, and a pale yellow. I saw those same peppers in the market Saturday from a different vendor. And they are not firm, they are soft. And Jamsta, now of course, I paid $35 for that chair of sweet pepper. I don't know how many trays those same vendors who are growing these peppers at their farm. I don't know what, I would assume that they pay the same $35 if they got them from there. But I'm telling you, Jamsta, the same texture, because the second set of those peppers that I whipped from my backyard garden, I couldn't sell them. Now, if anyone comes, like in my circle here, I gave away to them and I said, listen, this is the position here. I am using them for me, but I wouldn't sell it. So if I give someone, a family or a neighbor, I would explain to them, this is how they are. I don't know if it is the heat that causes them to be that way. However, I pull up all those things. I had 2 beds of those peppers, Jamsta. And I didn't even use the tree to cultivate back into the soil. I said, I don't want them. I don't want them, not even to turn over in the soil. So I chopped them up, put them in a bag, and the garbage truck took them. But here in the market, I'm seeing these same peppers. They are not firm, Jamsta. They are not firm. They are not hard peppers. They're very soft, and you could see where they're even quailing the skin. And the vendors are selling them. But they're selling them at the price that would like, guys, come out here. Let us bargain something here then. But they are not budging, Jamsta. Why? Because everybody wants to grab. Now, at the supermarket, market. The same thing is happening in Jamsta. So what we have here, what are we developing into? Everybody wants to pass on their price onto the consumer without mercy. Jamsta, it's not easy. Now, many of our farmers been calling in and asking for dialogue with the Minister of Agriculture. Just recently we hear that they have met. But Jamsta, we need to take this agriculture seriously, you know. We so need to take it seriously because our health is at stake with what we are importing on a very broad scale. How can we get what's the department for who is in charge of what we bring in? Consumer Affairs? Jamsta?
Say that again.
Our import bills for food that we're importing. Which department is responsible for that? Is it Consumer Affairs?
I think it would be Consumer Affairs, yes.
No. Let us look at the youth, Jamsta, that goes shopping with their parents. And what are they picking up? Those big bags of Cheetos, Jamsta, among other things. How can we put a ban on these things? Milk. I heard you mention that you buy milk, Jamsta. Jamsta, you're a grown man. I mean, I'm not telling you.
No, the milk is not for me so much. It's more for the kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Jamsta, you have heard Ross E-Truth stated the only milk you need when you're in your infancy is the milk from your mother's breast.
Yeah. But here's something I should tell you, and maybe this is one of the goods that they probably. I mean, I know it's expensive, but this is probably one of the goods that there needs to be some further concessions on. I like cereals, but I don't like to eat my cereals with milk. I prefer to use the plant milks, but the plant milks are very expensive. Like
okay,
this,
Jamsta,
like soy milk.
That's your choice,
like
right?
soy,
But,
yeah.
I'm only saying that because I heard you say what you're now spending for milk.
Mhm.
Now, I would recommend almond milk, and it is expensive, or coconut milk. But
Yeah, but it has no
you
protein.
you love your cereal and Jamsta, even the oats that you mentioned. That in itself, again, is a recipe for mucus. Oats, Jamsta. Now, we need to get serious here with the future. I'm referring to the youth, Jamsta, because we are food spoil. We are food spoil, Jamsta. And it is going from generation to generation. We need to stem that. And the Minister of Agriculture needs to get on board and get serious because there's no culture outside of agriculture. Are you getting me on this, Jamsta? There is no culture outside of agriculture. It is serious. It is our future. And our farmers been calling, they were lamenting, and it's like the cries were going on deaf ears. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand why one particular farmer, or maybe two, been crying. And where were the minister? I'm happy that they have met. But Jamsta, we need to get serious. Because as I said before, and I'm going to say it again, we are in a system where it is us against them against us, however you chose to put it. Make no mistake about this, Jamsta. This is deep and it is very serious. We have to look to ourselves because no one else is going to take the initiative to fix what's being imposed upon us, Jamsta. Thank you for hearing me.
Yes, thanks for calling. Yeah, a lot of issues. I mean, we've had some nice weigh-ins so far, like my friend there. I'm really hoping that, I was really hoping that everyone would have shown some more interest in a topic which I think affects everyone, but I guess maybe it's not sexy enough. Let's take a break.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WIN FM.
Get ready for the biggest sales event of the year. It's the Horsford Furniture and Appliances major sales event where we're slashing prices by 20% off on all major appliances. Are you looking for amazing deals on refrigerators, stoves, large appliances, washing machines, and even microwaves? Well, look no further. From the latest models to top brands, Horsford Furniture and Appliances has it all at unbeatable prices. Whether you're upgrading your kitchen or replacing old appliances, this is the perfect opportunity to get major savings and save big. These deals won't last forever. This is a limited time opportunity to snag the appliance of your dreams at 20% off and get double cashback coupons with every purchase. Don't miss out. The Horsford Furniture and Appliances major appliances sales event where quality meets affordability. Don't miss out on the biggest discounts on refrigerators, stoves, large appliances, washing machines, and microwaves. Hurry in today and make your home a major delight. Major savings, major discounts, 20% off on major appliances, plus double cash back for free groceries. Happening now at Horsford Furniture and Appliances. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
It's 1 minute after 1 o'clock, and we are back on Voices after hearing from this segment's sponsor, Horsford's. Let's go back to the phone lines. Voices, you're on air.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Jamsta. You had lunch?
No, I didn't have
okay, you will
breakfast,
get
actually.
lunch. Don't worry, man. I want to agree with my good friend here, Johnny, with what he said about the peppers them. Because I experienced them too. And I know the reason why they are soft. It's not because so much of the soil and the water. Because, Johnny has water and he takes care of his plants. But it's what has been done to the seeds. Because over the years, I checked out certain kind of peas. Throw them in the earth, brother, and they would not grow. And pick some peas that grow on here locally and they throw them in the earth, they would shoot up. So I know something was done to those seeds from over there, so that is the result. Why those green peppers like that? That the seeds that they buy and plant them, that is the reason why the green peppers them are like that. Now, there are two kinds of water under the earth. One is potable, and the other one is too heavy to be used in the kitchen to cook with. That is more salt. And the Honorable Sean Kenneth Richards, when he was in the government, he carefully went around the island St. Kitts to look for a suitable site to build a school. And he had the option to choose from 3 different sites. And the one that he chose is the one up there where, right up there now where they were supposed to build a school. And before that, Sean and the government consulted with export water engineers from the water department before they go up there. Sean did not just go up there and say, well, build a school here. No, they had a lot of consultation. And the export engineers, they decided, well, it's okay to construct the school up there. So they didn't just go up there and say, well, just build it here. And they didn't know what was on there with the water aquifer. So Sean and the government, they carefully chose that. So let that be known to who do not know. Now you go, there's a water problem down at the so Llewellyn, I don't like to say, but Mr. Llewellyn Limo Courthouse in the foundation. Well, that is expected because when they were building that new structure, they had the same water problem right down there coming up out the earth. And they had the hose out in the street throwing the water in the drain. And that was there for months. One day I went there and I said, let me just test this water. And they test the water, and the water is pure, good, potable water. But the house, the building is on a water table right there. So therefore now the building is being constructed and the water has the strength to come up to the earth. That is why the water down in the basement That water is not down there from drain. It come up out there. That is the same water that was giving them problem when they were building the building, because they had problems with the foundation, and somehow they get the water come out from in the street, and they were able to put down the foundation. But anyway, there is a plant up in the hills, thousands of them up in the height of the hills. They call Damanjo. It's a cousin to the palm trees, and no kind of insect fool around that tree there, Jamsta. It is so hard that they cannot bite it. And the main body of that tree, it is covered with a threaded like bark outside, and it is black. No insect fool around that. But as they meet another tree like a mango tree provide you other whisk, they kill it. They're gone on it, so they live in the earth. And when they come out, they're looking food, and when they find a tree that has the food, they build a house on that, and they trod under the house and eat down that until that fall in the ground. Anyway, Jamsta, thank you for the time that I have here. Let somebody else get in.
All right, great. Okay, so that was Culture weighing in. So I hope the weigh-ins will continue. The numbers are 466-0989, 662-0989, and 762-0989. If you have access to the other exchange numbers, 718-285-6984, 305-921-4619, and the UK number is 033-344-0065. Back to the phone lines. Voices, you're on the air.
Hi, Jamsta, I'm back.
Hey.
I know we to digress because there was a lot of happening, and also we were privy to, I think it's the monthly press conference of the Prime Minister's monthly press conference that was held probably last week or the week before. And yes, gleaning from that meeting and where the journalist was privy to ask a few questions, one of the things that I have presented to the fore for discussion, and which is ongoing, some projects, some investor projects on the island, which is to me and to others, which are very stagnant. And there needs to be some impetus in those projects. Two of them really stands out in that the Kitchen Hill and Mr. Bat, the journalist, did ask some questions on those two projects, the Kitchen Hill and the Christoph Harbour. But I'm going to deal with the Christoph Harbour, because when those questions was asked by Mr. Bat, the Prime Minister referred that the Foreign Minister, former Prime Minister Denzel Douglas, deal with that matter. And I am not satisfied. I am not satisfied from a government perspective that these things are on the front burners, these projects are on the front burners to be expedited in the sense of some impetus, or where we stand. What is our stake in those projects? What are the stakes of the quote unquote like our as taxpayers? And so I would like to see something more tangible, something in terms of question being posed by journalists, and we're not getting forthright answers that would appease us, the general public, as to how can we interject into those projects so that we can have more like jobs availability, more employment. And then those projects that they're lingering on. I do my tours. I speak about them as I go in the petition, the rural area, or if I go over to the southeast, I speak of them. I will have returnees. I'll speak of them now, and my returnees will return a year or two after, and lo and behold, no progress. by now, especially the Petition Hill, the Christopher Harbour project, should have been more advanced. Not only that, Jamsta, there is a tremendous amount of our land has been put into those projects. Lands that other business persons can do and start up, and we will see more progress. As opposed to all these enormous lands are in one person's or one investor's purview. We need to see more of those projects. We need to see more. We need to hear more. Month in, month out projects and press conferences, and we're not getting the type of answers that we deserve. So I have dispensed this matter on the morning tea, and the lady Candace has assured me to. But I'm not going to press it on you folks like that. You're just hosting a program, and you're not the real persons on the front line when it comes to these projects.
Yeah,
so that's something that stood out for me.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, great. Okay, so that was I'm still disappointed with the participation. I really thought that. Okay, let's go back to the phone lines. Voices, you're on the air.
Excuse me, which topic are you still looking for?
No, any topic, but I was just because you pretty much.
You put those three. So.
Well,
when I came out, I only heard.
There were some other topics that Dwyer addressed. The museum, I think you mentioned it, and
all right.
A few
now
other things.
The last caller, maybe he has never heard of the thing called land speculation. You know that?
Yeah, I know about that. Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, foreign investors come in and say that they want to do a project, and they demand more land than they actually need.
Should never be allowed.
And then they let the land stay there, waste, if you want to call it waste, idle, not with the intention of developing the land, but of selling it. And we would have seen a lot of land speculation. That is what has happened over the peninsula. We sell the land for nothing. Then when you go on the market and you hear the price they're asking, we are being robbed. You go down to the country, you want to have a nice horse racetrack and this dog racetrack. Acres and acres of good fertile land.
It's like I say, our politicians.
Land speculation. I mean, even the past, I remember raising the issue when it was sold to somebody else. It should have been returned to the state. So you look all around. Some of them, they could afford to leave the unfinished project that way. The only trouble is that the people who would have invested in the projects that were not completed feel robbed. But the investor has nothing to lose. He's just looking for somebody else to buy it. And the land goes with it. And we sit down the idle. We sit down because they don't want a competition, So they just chop something. It doesn't bother them. They have not lost anything. We are the losers. And this is why it is the right of citizens to know the contracts that are signed with the so-called investors. And there should be a limit on the land that they are given. And you say, well, is private land. But if the land is not developed by a certain time, they should be taken back. You asked about Petition Hill. If you look to the SIDF financial accounts, you will see the government owns, I know at one time, 92%, maybe it's a whole 100%. And they're now trying to sell. But I don't know what is the problem. So we are the losers. You go to Beacon Heights, that is worse. Social Security invested, 89 million, something like that? And you want to tell me how many years after up to now the project cannot be completed? So as you look around in the country, we see a lot of...
so Beacon Heights
hello?
isn't finished?
Hello?
Beacon Heights isn't finished? That's what you're saying?
Beacon Heights is a social security
Yes,
project.
but you're saying it's not finished, you said?
Has it?
No, I don't know.
They were to put down, I think, was 10 houses. How many up there? Because, I'm blind now. About how many have you seen up there?
I have no idea.
Well, somebody could tell you.
Okay, I think I drove up there one
You
time
understand?
while they were building.
So we keep doing these things, and I don't know. We just lack the skills, man. So over the peninsula, we can't take them back because they're going to say, oh, it was private land. But if you go and induce, and it was when you go, the government go and take over people's private property to give it to a foreign investor, that is traitor, you know. Look at the one next to Marriott. You know the hotel that was there?
You mean
right next to it?
Angelus.
The Angelus. I mean, that was taken over and handed to other investors. How many jobs? Is it working? Is it open? And you just go around the country. One time they were to have this sweetener up at Odge's Gut. 300 acres. What happened to the land? We need to ask. Down at Sandy Point. What happened to the land? We are now in a situation where our own land is put in a trust, the private company, where we have to be paying the debt for the land. So the land is not even no longer ours. So our people, I don't know. I think we get excited when we see somebody who come and say they want to invest. And we don't even bother to demand that they put the money. I am wondering about the Trinidad one now. Let me express my concern. When I heard the government say that they are going to put up $150 million to guarantee it, is that going to be used to put down the first set of houses? Think about it. Why would you have to guarantee? Some investor coming in said they're going to bring in the $609 or so million. Why do you have to guarantee it? Have you thought about that?
Yeah.
Because all those millions you're putting up, that we keep losing, you know. We keep losing. We had a lot of SIDF money. We kept losing. All kind of excuses. Then they go to the bank and they borrow. And the bank belongs to us and the money is ours. And then you write off this. Antigua has our money and you write off. When are we going to learn? When are our leaders going to learn? So they're supposed to be ours, eh? Kitchen is supposed to be ours. Beacon is supposed to be ours. The one down St. Paul's with the long green fence is supposed to be ours. I mean, where will it end? Because the question now, you know, which nobody asking, you're going to build the houses, and each house requires a lot of land. Obviously, from the conversation, if I understand it properly, is that the investors will own the houses, but the land belongs to us. So we are supposed to find all of that land to suit an investor. I say he should have first buy the land. They should have made them buy the land on which they plan to put down the houses, rather than giving them. All right then.
Okay. Yes. So many issues. So many things so many things we can critique and comment on vis-a-vis the way our government operates. Like, I always say, it's like our politicians take leave of their senses when they see pink, and when they see green,
Sorry about that. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm giving Miss Henry 100%. She really a good accountant. So we don't think, and then they're charging, one lot of money for things. I don't know who come up with this idea, God knows. Right? Nobody say you mustn't pay no tax, but they say must the taxing you so left, right, and center. Contours used to come on. Hey, the woman is right. Hey, why they don't take a lady like me send we don't try to advise them. Then well, they don't know what you do. I hear a man don't pay X, Y, 100 and something thousand. He tell them he got his own land, and up to now, no land, nothing billing. Yo, should have done start. And I don't know, he got to give government 100 and something thousand for because you could have paid a 50 or 60,000 and then pay the rest after. Nothing to start say if they, the people, and they just laughing after us, so yeah. Could we go to Trinidad and do them stupidness there? I see people coming here, so there's this big person from Trinidad, and when you look now, they don't even want petty people them. You had one of them there, every Friday afternoon, right down Chaos Street. We have something building. People have also got to go there and make noise with the contractor, man.
Okay. We
Trinidad and we have to be good contractor than we got here.
Oh boy. Okay, we lost that call. Okay, let me squeeze in a break and then we're gonna come back and take our last remaining calls.
Riddle this, riddle that. Horseman's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store is again giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash back for free groceries with every hire purchase. We'll be giving back this coupon season. Happening now. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash back coupons to all our hire purchase customers this coupon season. Starting now until December 2023. You get absolutely free groceries with every hire purchase at our Horseman's Furniture and Appliances stores on St. Kitts Nevis and our Ashley Home Store on St. Kitts. So riddle this. Where can you get quality furniture and appliances at great prices with a flexible FlexPlay plan and with absolutely free groceries with every hire purchase? Riddle that. Cashback at Horseman's Furniture and Appliances on St. Kitts Nevis and our Ashley Home Store on St. Kitts. Riddle this, riddle that. Horseman's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store is giving you over $250,000 in cashback and a chance to win free groceries for a year. Riddle that cashback. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
And true to form, we had calls coming in as soon as I went to the break. How do you guys do that? I don't know. I don't understand. Back to the phone lines. Voices, you're on the air.
Yes, it's my call. My papa and my call drop out now.
Go ahead, make your point. I have another call, so you have to be very brief.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like what's going on. They say they got big out. I pay them buildings all of these kind of $1,000 a month. Everyone just paying out this load of money when they tax the people in inland. You're taking back the land them who's not paying ain't back, but then what happened, right?
Caller, you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Good day, Jamsta.
Hi.
Yeah, I just listened to a clip of Ralph Gonzalez taking a victory lap regarding what has happened to Dominica, saying that he warned his colleagues in the U.S. that this was going to happen, okay, and that by December the others will be included in this visa requirement, right? And you know, you have to look at that. I know there's been talk about weaning ourselves off of the CBI, but I mean, the other two callers previous were absolutely right. I mean, we have too many white elephants around here from the CBI that have not developed into thriving businesses as yet. And I think that should be one of the main priorities of government, to get these things working, because other investors, potential investors, seeing half-finished projects or businesses not thriving are going to be kind of reluctant to get involved in further investment. Okay, so that should be top priority. And Mrs. Henry mentioned some of them, the Beaumont Park, that on the hill over there at Frigate Bay, and Potato Bay. Those projects, I mean, the need to come to fruition. Petition Hill need to be a thriving place, because it's all well and good to attract airlift, but if it's just to attract it for the existing hotels alone, then we're not really going any further ahead. Okay? So I really think we should get to work on that, as well as replacing some of those factories that exited. I know it's probably difficult in that, we're getting our overhead costs probably are high, electricity and labor costs, etc., are high, but at least it offered some measure of diversification. So we should, maybe using Taiwanese help, maybe they should pivot towards getting some of their industries to be established here, right under the belly of the U.S. Why can't they bring in some industries here that we can export to the U.S.? There must be something that we can make that the U.S. would want. We were originally one of the leading exporters in light industrial materials in the OECS to the U.S.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I know there's a lot to be said for the economies of scale in terms of the population of the workforce in China. I never understood why the Americans never built out their overseas manufacturing in Latin America and the Caribbean more. That never made sense to me.
Well, China pretty much overran everybody else.
But remember, China wasn't there forever. I mean, I know most of the manufacturing that the Americans did was done in the U.S., but I always wondered why they decided to go to China. Why not offshore it in their backyard? I never understood.
Well, actually, they did try. They did try. Remember, Mexico was
Mexico
was pretty much an adjunct, and you have Canada next door as well. But they just couldn't compete with a China or eventually a Taiwan and India.
Not if they didn't really try, because in my mind they didn't really try, because my thing is, we know a lot of manufacturing goes on in Mexico, but and we had, to your point, we had manufacturing here as well. We had Lutron, and I actually went into Walmart one time. and
saw the products.
And I saw made in St. Kitts Stevens, and I remember showing my uncle. I said, "Look at this."
Of course, we should never have allowed that to just disappear without trying harder to keep them. And my understanding was that the technology had changed, and the persons who were working there didn't seem interested in adapting to the new technology, and the government just let it continue instead of encouraging people to get trained and keep the factory here. They just roll over and die. I guess because we had the CBI money coming in, so we had an alternative. So now we have to be talking about what is going to be the alternative, we shouldn't be behind the 8 ball on this and just wait until it happens and then wring our hands and start to wonder what can become of us.
Because
we should be doing it right now. Get Christoph Harbour going. Get all those projects going again. That should be the concentration on. They should be concentrated. That should be prioritized.
Because I always thought, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I always felt like, people argue that the wage bill would be much bigger, maybe in St. Kitts Nevis and maybe the Caribbean, but I'm thinking the savings in shipping would more than make up for that. I mean, wouldn't you say?
You mean shipping from here to the States?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're right,
I never
right
understood.
next door.
Yeah, exactly.
They're right next door.
Same time zone.
And you can't tell me that you can't have, and it's not going to be a lot of factories. You can't tell me you can't find 3 or 4 where because remember, the labor force in these factories down here were well trained. They knew what they were doing. You see how long they lasted. Okay, you can't tell me that you can't have them doing something else, some sort of light manufacturing
exactly.
to supply the U.S., the North American market. There got to be something. It's just that they're not trying.
Exactly.
They're not.
Exactly.
I think that's it. They're not trying hard. That is where they should be focusing. This thing, not so much getting more hotels and so on here. Get the hotels that are here working properly. Fill up the beds here now. Do the whatever marketing and so on that is necessary to get them up and running properly. And to me, is no point building one lot of houses if you don't have an underlying economy to support the people who are going to be getting these houses. What you're going to do? You're going to end up with a lot of defaults. You have to get the employment and so on up to scratch.
The other thing is, I would say Trinidad and you could say the Dominican Republic, because I know they do a lot of manufacturing there as well. They have proven that manufacturing can be a big part of the economy, because Trinidad, most of Trinidad's income, as you know, comes from manufacturing, not tourism.
Yeah, but you see, remember they have energy, lower energy
and
costs.
yes, exactly.
Right.
And
it would be nice if we could get the geothermal going too, and we do end up, if that works, we do end up with low cost, a lower cost energy, as well as the other byproducts of geothermal that were mentioned that we can export.
I was given a cynical but plausible reason as to why the geothermal hasn't started yet, because you know that the Caribbean Development Bank has agreed to, and I don't think they would agree to do something if they didn't think there was something there. But like I said, I was given a cynical but plausible reason why it hasn't got. I'm not going to get into it right now. I think you can figure it out.
It would have been. There actually is a good reason for it not being developed.
No, there's no good reason for it not to be developed.
Because to me, I thought that would be a win-win for everybody.
It would be. So then just do some quick thinking. Add a touch of cynicism to your thinking, and your knowledge of human nature, and you'll figure out what I'm talking about. The Caribbean Development Bank is not a bank that is gonna just give you a bunch of money and you not have to account for that money. Let me put it that way. You're gonna have to account for the money, and there are going to be checks and balances to make sure the money goes where the money is supposed to go.
Anyway, you notice all the timelines are falling behind.
Yes.
And that is not good.
Yes.
Whether it's from the housing, from the geothermal start and those things, the timelines start falling behind. And I can't believe that we're going to come here next year and still be in the same position. That would be really untenable.
You better believe.
Yep. All right.
Okay, that's going to do it for today's show. Great way to end the show. That was today's edition of Voices. I'm supposed to be I'm supposed to be sitting in for the griot again on Wednesday. The griot being Socrates. Big shoes to fill. So I'll be back on Wednesday for Voices. But I'll also be back tomorrow for Island Tea and Spin Cycle, which will be brought to you for a little while by the CPL. And so you can look out for CPL news, info, probably giveaways and so on in the coming weeks as we get closer to CPL and when CPL begins. So You guys have a great afternoon. I'll be back tomorrow for Island Tea.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
Get ready for the biggest sales event of the year. It's the Horswood Furniture and Appliances major sales event where we're slashing prices by 20% off on all major appliances. Are you looking for amazing deals on refrigerators, stoves, large appliances, washing machines, and even microwaves? Well, look no further. From the latest models to top brands, Horswood Furniture and Appliances has it all at unbeatable prices. Whether you're upgrading your kitchen or replacing old appliances, this is the perfect opportunity to get major savings and save big. These deals won't last forever. This is a limited time opportunity to snag the appliance of your dreams at 20% off and get double cashback coupons with every purchase. Don't miss out. The Horswood Furniture and Appliances major appliances sales event where quality meets affordability. Don't miss out on the biggest discounts on refrigerators, stoves, large appliances,